All right, so listeners have been asking about this ChatGPT thing and what it could mean for the future of automation testing. We've got this blog post and a web page from Asambhav Solutions. They're a company that specializes in software and AI. And so is ChatGPT going to be our best friend or our worst enemy? As testers, let's find out.
Well, the buzz around ChatGPT has been pretty incredible. It really does seem like everybody's talking about it, especially in software development.
I know it's like everywhere. I've even been messing around with it a bit myself. And it's kind of mind-blowing, all the different things it can do. It can generate all kinds of creative text formats like poems and scripts. It can compose music. It can even write code in multiple languages.
Yeah, it's pretty versatile. At its heart, ChatGPT is built on the GPT-3 model. That stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3. It's a real powerhouse when it comes to natural language processing.
So it can understand and work with human language. But what makes it so different from other AI tools that are already out there?
What sets ChatGPT apart is its ability to hold these natural-sounding conversations. And the responses really fit the context of the conversation. It can do things like summarize information, translate languages, analyze sentiment, and so much more. This versatility opens up a world of possibilities, including, as you mentioned, automation testing.
That's what we want to focus on today. So can ChatGPT actually make our lives as testers easier?
Absolutely. But it's not a magic solution to everything. One of the areas it really shines is in automating those tasks that are super repetitive and time-consuming.
You mean like creating test cases, building those UI scripts, and even coming up with realistic test data?
Exactly. So imagine you're working on a new feature for a web app. Instead of manually creating every single test case, you could just describe the feature to ChatGPT in plain English.
And it would just spit out all the test cases for you. That sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, not quite. It could generate a comprehensive set of test cases, covering different scenarios and expected outcomes. But you still need a human touch.
So it's more like a really, really super-powered assistant, not like a complete replacement for us humans.
Right. You would still need to review and refine the generated test cases.
Yeah.
Making sure they align with the project's specific needs.
Okay, that makes sense. What about testing something like an e-commerce checkout process? Those can get pretty complex with all the different steps and all the potential for things to go wrong.
Yeah, that's a great example. For a checkout process, you could describe all the steps to ChatGPT, like adding items to the cart, inputting shipping info, selecting payment methods, the whole 9 yards. And ChatGPT could generate a script that would automate all those actions, like it's mimicking a real user clicking through the site.
So no more manually clicking through all those steps every single time you need to test it. That would be a huge time saver. Now that we've talked about some specific examples, what about regression testing? That's another area where we often spend a lot of time making sure new code changes haven't broken anything. Can ChatGPT help with that as well?
Absolutely. As the codebase evolves, ChatGPT can automatically generate and update those regression test cases, keeping them in sync with the latest changes. It's like having a dedicated assistant, constantly monitoring for any potential issues.
That sounds incredibly helpful, especially for large and complex projects, where keeping those regression tests up to date can be a real headache.
Exactly. By automating this, ChatGPT frees you up to focus on the more strategic and complex aspects of testing, things that require human intuition and expertise.
This is starting to sound like a tester's dream, but we also have to be realistic about the fast-paced world we live in. Can ChatGPT keep up with the demands of continuous integration and continuous deployment, where new code is being pushed out all the time?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. ChatGPT can be seamlessly integrated into those CI/CD pipelines, further streamlining the testing process. Imagine it automatically running tests every time new code is committed, flagging potential issues for you to review.
So it's like having an AI-powered quality gatekeeper, ensuring that only the good stuff makes it to production. But even with all these amazing capabilities, I'm sure there are some things ChatGPT might not be so good at when it comes to testing. What are some of its limitations?
You're right, it's not a perfect solution. One of its limitations is that it might not have the deep domain-specific knowledge that we humans have acquired over years of experience.
That makes sense. It's like expecting a general-purpose AI to suddenly become an expert in something highly specialized. So if you're testing something very specific, you can't just rely on ChatGPT blindly.
Exactly. It might need some guidance or additional input from you to ensure it's capturing the nuances of the application being tested.
So human oversight is still essential. It's more about collaboration than replacement. But what about complex test scenarios? Can ChatGPT handle those?
It can handle a lot, but there might be scenarios where it struggles. especially if those scenarios require intricate setups or specific environment controls.
So there are still some situations where human intervention is necessary. We can't just hand over the reins entirely.
Precisely. Human testers are still crucial for validating ChatGPT's output, making sure the generated tests are accurate and relevant to the project. You'll need to fine-tune the scripts, identify any gaps in coverage, and ensure that the tests truly reflect real-world user scenarios.
This highlights an important point. ChatGPT is a powerful tool, but it's not a replacement for us humans.
Right. It's about leveraging the strengths of both humans and AI to achieve a higher level of quality and efficiency.
Okay, so it's not going to steal our jobs anytime soon. But let's be honest. The question on everyone's mind is, will it eventually make human testers obsolete? As AI continues to evolve, who knows what ChatGPT will be capable of?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But in my view, it's far more likely to become a powerful ally than a replacement. It's all about collaboration, not competition.
I like that, collaboration over competition. But what does this collaboration actually look like in practice? How can we as human testers benefit from working with ChatGPT?
Think of it this way. By taking over those routine, time-consuming tasks, ChatGPT frees you up to focus on the more complex and creative aspects of your work. Things like identifying those tricky edge cases, conducting exploratory testing, and ultimately ensuring the overall quality of the software.
So instead of fearing obsolescence, we can actually use ChatGPT to become even more valuable.
Absolutely. By embracing these new tools and figuring out how to use them effectively, we can enhance our skills and contribute to creating even better software. It's about adapting and seeing AI as an opportunity rather than a threat.
I love that perspective. It's about working smarter, not harder. But the world of technology is always evolving, AI especially. What does this mean for the future of automation testing? Will ChatGPT's capabilities continue to expand, and how can we stay ahead of the curve?
Those are great questions. And honestly, we're just beginning to scratch the surface of what AI can do in software testing. ChatGPT is constantly being improved, and there are always new tools and techniques emerging.
So for those testers who might be feeling a little apprehensive about all this change, what advice would you give them? How can they embrace this AI-powered future and make sure their skills stay relevant?
The key is to stay curious, keep learning, and be adaptable. Don't be afraid to experiment with new tools and explore how AI can make you better at your job. The world of software testing is evolving rapidly, and those who are adaptable and willing to learn will be the ones who thrive.
So it's not just about mastering the tools and techniques of today, but about developing a mindset of continuous learning and growth.
Exactly. And remember, even the most advanced AI can't replace the human element of testing, that ability to think critically, understand what users need, and ensure a smooth user experience. Those are skills that will always be in demand.
That's a great point. So ChatGPT might be able to write code and run tests, but it can't replace the human intuition and understanding that we bring to the table.
Precisely. It's about finding the right balance between leveraging the power of AI and retaining the essential human elements of software testing.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've covered a lot of ground today, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
Absolutely. There's still so much more to explore and discuss about the role of AI in automation testing. And that's exactly what we'll be doing in the next part of this deep dive.
Stay tuned, folks, because we'll be back soon to delve even deeper into the world of ChatGPT and automation testing.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So before we move on, I want to touch on a point we briefly mentioned earlier, that whole idea of human in the loop, really emphasizing that we're not trying to replace human testers, but rather enhance their capabilities.
Right, it's all about working together, humans and AI as a team.
Exactly. You bring your domain expertise to the table, your critical thinking skills, and that deep understanding of user expectations. You're there to review what ChatGPT generates, fine-tune those test cases, and make sure they really align with real-world scenarios.
So it's like having this super-powered assistant that can handle all the heavy lifting, freeing us up to focus on, the more strategic and or nuanced aspects of testing.
Precisely. Now, I know you're interested in exploring some of the more technical aspects of ChatGPT. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about how it can be applied to a specific testing challenge that a lot of developers face, ensuring the security of their applications.
Yeah, that's a great point. Security testing is so crucial these days, especially with, all these increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks. How can ChatGPT help in that area?
One thing ChatGPT can do is analyze code for potential vulnerabilities. So imagine feeding your code into ChatGPT. And it can actually identify areas where there might be security loopholes. It could even suggest ways to fix those vulnerabilities, making your code more robust and resistant to attacks.
So it's like having this AI-powered security auditor working right alongside you, constantly checking for weaknesses in your code. That sounds incredibly valuable.
It is. And it's not just about finding vulnerabilities. ChatGPT can also be used to generate test cases, specifically designed to probe for security weaknesses. These tests can simulate different attack scenarios, helping you identify and address potential security risks before they become real problems.
So it's not just about automating those routine tests, it's about using AI to enhance our security testing efforts and make our applications much more resilient.
Exactly. Now, another area where ChatGPT can be super useful is in performance testing.
You mean testing how well an application performs under different loads and conditions?
Yes. So imagine being able to just describe a specific performance scenario to ChatGPT, like simulating hundreds or even thousands of users, accessing your application simultaneously.
And it could generate a script that would automate that simulation, allowing us to test how our application holds up under pressure. That would be amazing.
Right. And by analyzing the results of these tests, ChatGPT can help identify bottlenecks and areas where the application needs to be optimized.
This is really opening my eyes to just how many applications ChatGPT has in software testing. It's not just about automating functional tests, it's about using AI to improve the overall quality and security of our applications.
Exactly. And as AI technology keeps evolving, we can expect even more innovative applications to emerge, really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in software testing.
This has been an incredible deep dive so far. I feel like I'm starting to really grasp the true potential of ChatGPT in the world of automation testing.
And we're not done yet. There's still more to uncover. We'll be back shortly to continue our exploration and discuss how you can actually start incorporating ChatGPT into your own testing workflow.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with the final part of our deep dive into ChatGPT and automation testing. Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've been talking about how ChatGPT is changing the game for automation testing, and I'm really curious, how can we actually start using it?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the easiest ways to get started is with platforms like OpenAI's Playground.
So we don't have to build our own AI from scratch.
Nope, not at all. These platforms have a really user-friendly interface where you can work directly with ChatGPT. Just give it prompts and see the results right away.
So I could just type in something like, generate a test case for an e-commerce checkout process, and see what ChatGPT comes up with.
Exactly. And you can make your prompts more and more specific, adding details about the application, the behavior you expect, and the different scenarios you want to test.
So the better the prompt, the better the results. It sounds like there's an art to getting those prompts just right.
There is. It's something testers can get really good at with practice. It's almost like learning a new language, figuring out how to talk to the AI to get the results you want.
That's really interesting. So we're not just testers anymore, we're AI whisperers.
I like that. And as you get better at prompting, you can move on to more advanced stuff like fine-tuning.
Fine-tuning. What's that?
Fine-tuning is where you can train ChatGPT on your own data, so it's tailored to your applications and testing processes.
So instead of using a generic ChatGPT, we can actually create our own custom version, trained on our own code and test cases, even our own language.
Exactly. This makes ChatGPT's output even better, more accurate and relevant. It becomes an even more powerful testing tool.
This all sounds really promising, but AI is changing so fast. What would you say to testers who want to keep up and make sure their skills stay relevant in this whole AI-powered future?
I think the key is to keep learning. Dive into new technologies, experiment with different AI tools, and never stop expanding your knowledge. The world of software testing is evolving so quickly. The people who thrive are going to be the ones who can adapt and keep learning.
So it's not just about knowing the tools we have today. It's about having that mindset of constant learning and growth.
Exactly. And remember, even with all the advances in AI, we'll always need human ingenuity, creativity, and critical thinking in software testing.
The human element just can't be replaced. We bring understanding and intuition and the ability to connect with real users, which AI, at least for now, can't do.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance between human intelligence and artificial intelligence, using the best of both to make software development better.
This deep dive has been so interesting. We've learned a lot about ChatGPT and what it can do for automation testing, and we've talked about all kinds of cool possibilities for the future.
It's been great talking with you. I really hope our listeners will keep exploring and experimenting, keep pushing the limits of what AI can do in software testing. The future is full of potential. It's up to all of us to shape it.
That's a great way to put it. So on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember, the learning never stops. Keep exploring and keep pushing the boundaries. Until next time.